All right, good evening, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Now, as you know, normally this would be Premier Access with Premier Panton, but we've got a special guest for you guys this evening because Premier Panton is off island attending a conference. A Caribbean wide conference. So instead, we're going to have Mesha joining the show. We're going to bring her in just a second here. So I know a lot of you have been super interested in who Mesha is. And in fact, just up until yesterday, I got a question about someone wants to know who is this young lady that you have on the show. So we are super pleased to do a formal introduction this evening of Mesha and tell you guys all about her, who she is, what she's been up to here in CMR. And you can ask questions if you're really curious to learn a little bit more about Mesha. She's got quite an interesting, bit of experience behind her. And so we're going to dig a little bit deeper into who some of the people are here at CMR. I think this is super fun, and it's a great opportunity for all of you to really get to know people at a deeper level. And why not? So let's go ahead and bring Mesha in. Good evening, Mesha. How are you?
Good evening. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So it's good to have you. I know we've been planning to do this interview for quite some time now, and we've been talking about it, and here we are finally getting it done. So
Yes, absolutely.
let's. I think a lot of people have seen your face, obviously on our platform doing news now. How long has it been? Has it been 3, 4 months?
I think it has. We started in January, January the 4th
Okay.
of this year, and yes, it has been a good while. We're in
Yeah.
April now.
So yep, we're doing into going into 4 or 5 months now. So a lot of people, like I said yesterday, no word to lie, somebody messaged and they're like, who is this person? Who somebody wants to know who is Mesha. So I said that I'm trying to remember the exact question, like how they worded it. They're like, oh yeah, they were like, who's she for? I'm being asked, this is what they said.
Yeah.
They said, I'm being asked to ask you who she for. And I said, she's married to so and so. Because when people ask you that question, they're looking for your Caymanian connection, like who you connected to. So I gave them your
Absolutely,
Cayman
yeah.
connection, which is your husband, Corey. And they were like, oh, okay. I think they really wanted to hear that you were single. But anyway,
Well,
so
hello everybody. Hello Cayman, little Cayman, Cayman Brack, and everybody that's tuned in. This is Misha Allinger, and I am in the Cayman Islands, not in India,
I know a
not
lot of
anywhere
people,
else.
yes, a lot of people ask that question as well. They're like, is she in India? Someone actually messaged me one day and they're like, oh, thank God for there's some online service where you can, I guess, like order stuff. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything? And they're like, oh, you're a newscaster. And I'm like, she lives in Georgetown. So again, I was a bit perplexed as to what they were speaking about. But anyway, let's give everybody a little bit of an introduction into who you are and what your experiences are. So let's start first with maybe how you and I met, because I think that that's a super interesting story, and I'll let you tell it. Uh-oh. Looks like Misha's having some connectivity issues there. Ooh. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I think it's the internet connection. Yes, I can hear you now. I switched my internet connection and I still have issues. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it could be the location. They need to come back out to you.
Yes.
I was just saying that if
Okay.
you could tell, listeners a little bit about who you are and maybe how we met, we'll start.
Right. So I think we met for the first time at the first Assembly of God when Corey and I were actually volunteering for the Cayman Food Bank during the lockdown. I met with one of the I can't remember his name. I think it was Philip. We met him and Ulrich, of course, I remember Ulrich, and we were talking about how we can contribute to helping the community during that lockdown. It was absolutely crazy. And yeah, while we packed food and did other stuff, we came up with the idea of making face masks because COVID had already hit the other parts of the world, and everyone was wearing face masks. And at that time, we were like, "Is this for real? Is this really going to happen?"
Yeah.
But then it did happen. And so, yeah, we came up with the idea of making face masks, and I think that's where I met you for the second time when you came to the food bank to cover the event or something
Right.
was happening that day.
Yes,
And
the first
yeah,
time
and
I
we just clicked.
came, yeah, the first time I came by, like you said, you and Corey were there. I think you were actually on the assembly line putting stuff together and helping to hand out food. And
Yeah,
so, I did a quick walkthrough. And I think the first time we met, you actually just gave a few questions in terms of why you guys were helping out and stuff as well.
right,
And then
right.
it was the second conversation that turned out to be a more meaningful conversation when we started to
Yeah.
interview you and Corey about why you decided to make masks. And it was really interesting because you were not in the mask making business before.
No, not at all.
So,
Yeah, we basically looked up YouTube and learned how to sew. Uh, yeah, and I've never seen a sewing machine in my life before, and never thought that I would basically start sewing and
right.
making. We made about yeah, we made so many masks after that. I think
Hmm.
about over thousands of them.
Hmm.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So COVID brought us together in a very interesting way. Um,
Yes, yeah,
And then we just started to talk, and it was one of those conversations that you walk away from thinking, "Oh wow, I've really met someone super interesting." And I
yeah.
think there was just a connection there, really.
Yeah, you said to me, what clicked that conversation was the first thing you said, you are where you're supposed to be. You
Mm,
are right where you're supposed to be. And I did have a lot of things going on at the time in my life, and significant changes. And
mhm.
then, yeah, I think we just started talking from that point, and I was like, oh my gosh. And of course, you were the celebrity of the Cayman Islands. So I'm like, oh my
Oh my
gosh, I
gosh.
said you.
No, no, no.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And then after that, we kept in touch over, a period of time. We would always, check in with each other. And I just always wanted to see how you were doing. I knew that you started listening to the show and you would be tuning in. And then
Yeah.
how you came to be part of the CMR family, quite interestingly enough, is you approached me. So tell our listeners a little bit about how you came up with the idea to even contact me about doing some content, and then we can talk about what your background is actually in broadcasting.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I got married in when was that? September 2017? Yes, 10th of September 2017. Yeah,
Mhm.
don't kill me, Corey. I know, I remember. I remember. And yeah, it was actually just we were just getting out of lockdown, but we still had restrictions in place and everything. And right after that year, then I was pregnant with my baby. And work wasn't. I was working at Budget at the time, and it was a great workplace. I love the guys there. They really supported me as long as they could, but I couldn't go in because I had health complications at the time and I had to quit my job because just going into work every day was not possible with with related to because of my health. I couldn't go in there having a baby, and then I know a lot of mothers have to just bite the bullet and just go to work right after they have a baby.
Mhm.
Um, and I just couldn't come to terms with doing that, and then my health was also not supporting that idea. So I had to find ways to work from home. And I was
Mhm.
thinking what I can do. And yeah, I thought about it was quite a stressful period for me to give up something that I was doing for so many years. And I'd been working with budget for a long time. Um,
Mhm.
However, I do have a background of media and I was doing news and everything. And I was like, wait a minute, I have Sandy. I have to talk to Sandy.
Mhm.
And then I got this idea to you about the show, and we discussed a lot of shows, ideas of having shows and stuff. And then you were like, "Yeah, we can do that." And you were like, "What do you mean?" So you're talking about collaborating with CMR? I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's do it." So there we are. And then is that a caller? Is that a call?
That's another phone, so I'm not sure if she's trying to call into the program. But just as a reminder, folks, if you want to call into the program, that number is 936-2626. So let me try to find out if she's intending to call into the program or if she's just randomly calling me. All right. So 926-3636, folks, is the number if you want to ask Misha a question or you have a comment or you'd like to participate in the conversation at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions? We're open to questions.
Yes.
And yeah, so that's how it started. And we discussed, we met at your favorite place. Oh my gosh, the Thai Orchid. If no one knows, Thai Orchid is her favorite.
I
So,
was actually there today. I've not been in a while. They were like, "Where have you been? We missed you." Because it's been like a couple weeks. I haven't seen them. So they legit were missing me.
wow, I'm sure because they're like, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to say how they say it because that might sound bad, but yeah, though I like doing accents, we'll get to that part of accents.
Yes. So you have
Yeah,
a lot of ideas. We actually haven't really brought any of those completely to fruition yet. We've been kind of easing
right.
you into it a bit, but then
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how the idea with the news segment came about. I think that was my idea, and I was like, we need
Yes,
to
that was yours.
really. Yeah, I said a lot of people are kind of missing that daily news feel, and maybe that's where we start off is having a daily news segment. How has that been for you? I know you kind of it was like a sink or swim situation. I kind of pushed you over the edge and said, "There you go."
Yeah, it was, I think, yeah, you said to me like, oh, you know what, Misha, I have this idea of a news buzz. I mean, we didn't come up with a name at the time, but you said, let's just do a news segment. I'm sure people will be interested. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Because I used to be a news presenter, and that was my forte. And I was like, okay, let's do it. But
Mhm.
that was different than having to do it here. And then when you're at home, and I was just getting out of my motherhood, my early motherhood phase. I'm
Mhm.
still into it, but I'm a little not a pro, but getting there. And thanks to
Mhm.
you for all the tips and advices and just advice and all of that. Yeah. So it's not too bad now. I'm settled. I know what to do. I know where's what. I know how to, I mean, I've learned so much in that period from January to April now. We've had so many technical issues and the timing was not great at the time. And
Mhm.
it was a lot of things that we had to consider as well, right? And
Mhm.
audio wasn't working, and it was so many things
It
that we
looks
just had to,
easy. I think when people see it, they
yeah,
think, "Oh, yeah, that's, like, super easy." But there's definitely way more to it, than meets the eye.
lot, yeah, a lot to it. You have to, I start in the morning and I keep checking my phone and I browse through the phone and I also have a baby that's screaming in my face, but I mean, she's a good baby, don't get me wrong, but yeah, we gotta, look for news, what's happening around, and sometimes government usually updates the news later in the evening. So I have to start recording at 6 or get everything ready by 6 so I can start recording and then edit everything. And then we have issues with the network. Editing, sometimes the software gives up on me. There's so many things that goes into bringing the 7-minute video or a 6-minute video, but
Mhm.
in the end, yeah, we're doing good so far,
Yeah.
I
Now
think.
let's talk a little bit
I mean,
about
you
your
tell us, people.
let's talk a little bit about your networking experience. We do have Jamelia and Wee Wee's here. Good evening, Wee Wee. Jamila says that or Georgetown Yacht Club are my two favorite locations. Celine, good evening. She's joining us from Guyana, South America. She says, have a blessed evening, guys. We have Michael who says, shout out, Miss Sandy. We're listening to your show with my family here in the Philippines. Yay!
Oh,
Thank you
yay!
so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes. So yes,
Well,
Misha,
my middle name is Philippine, by the way, so a lot of
your
people
middle name
don't
is
know that.
Philippine?
But yes, it's not the Philippines, but it is Philippine. And I had it
Mhm.
for so long. My name on Facebook was Misha Philippine, but now it's obviously Misha Allinger after I married my beautiful, handsome husband.
So let's talk about your experience, your professional experience. So you have a lot of things that you have done in your short life, and one of those things is you actually have some broadcasting experience. So tell us when did you get started and how did you get started in that?
Well, right when I was a little girl, a young girl, we just had one news segment that would come at 7 p.m. in the evening, and we didn't have much in those days. It was what in 1980, maybe 1995. 1996, I was, so young and watching news because my parents used to watch news. And
Hmm.
I always wondered how they do that. How can they remember so much to say? I mean, who knew? I don't know if they had a teleprompter at the time or if they
Hmm.
just looked at pages and someone was just there changing pages for them. I don't know. But
Hmm.
I was very curious. I would go to the TV and, try to peep in and see if they had something there. It was weird. I mean, as a child, you do stupid things. So yeah, I did that. And but I always wanted to be that. I wanted to be a newsreader. I wanted to do that because I grew up watching that, right? And so after I did, you know, uh, I finished my schooling and I tried to do some other courses. And I didn't go to college at the time, but I did online study because my mother was really sick. So we had a lot of issues and health issues in the family. So,
Hmm.
and a lot of challenges. So I had to fight through those and, do what works best at the time. And so, but yeah, I found my way through all those challenges and I found this media company in Goa at the time. I'm from Goa, and I didn't get into news reading right away. I
Hmm.
had to do production work. I had to do editorials and all those things before I actually got to do what I wanted to do. But my focus and my goal was to do news reading. And I finally got there in 2012. I started reading. I was a primetime news reader for a very established news channel in Goa, which is in India. And yeah, I did that for about a couple of years, and I think a year and a half. Yeah, and then I left. So I travel a lot, and I didn't live in India for a long time. I left maybe when I was 18 or
Hmm.
19. I left Goa because I just wanted to travel. I just wanted to explore and I, I couldn't live there.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah,
So, one of the interesting things that you've told us about, now you speak several languages. How many languages do you speak?
I speak 5 languages.
Five languages, right?
Yeah,
And obviously, English is your first and primary language.
it is. And also, my mother, she would speak in Konkani to me, which is the official language of Goa. But it was a mixture of English and Konkani. My dad always spoke to me in English. And then I went to a convent school, which was, we had foreign teachers there. So they were all, a mixture of UK, Americans, and Indians as well. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so it was mostly English. But yeah, these 5 languages, I know to read, write, and speak. However, although I know these languages, sometimes it's a challenge because I think and speak in different languages to myself. Or if
Mm.
I have to respond to someone else, and if they have a different accent, then it's not just the languages, then it's also the
Mhm.
accent that everyone speaks with. And then I just switch. And then when I switch, then I'm thinking in a different language or a different accent. So yeah, I do have a small challenge there, or
Right.
struggle.
So you
Yeah,
don't think primarily in English? Like which
I do.
language you do? Okay.
Yeah, I would think in English, and if someone's speaking to me in Konkani, I would think in English, but then I would go back in because there's some words that I would try to remember what is this word because they don't come to you sometimes if it's a deep conversation about something. So I'm actually thinking English, and I happen to say English words. It's a mixture of English words that when I'm speaking with a person that speaks that language, or Hindi, or other languages, German. If I speak to a
What are the
German
five
person,
languages that you speak? English, Konkani, German.
Hindi, German, and another Indian language that's Marathi.
Huh. Which of those languages
Yeah.
do you find is the most difficult?
Um, German, because I
Mm.
recently learned that one. Um, but German is a difficult language. Like, otherwise, um, yeah, because the words are so long, and it's a connection of few words to make one word, if that makes sense. If you want to say something to someone, or like they combine words, it's a combination of different words to make
Hmm.
either a word or a short sentence or a long sentence. So
Say something to us
yeah.
in German. Say good evening to all of our listeners in German.
I thought you would ask me to say that. Guten Abend, alles in Cayman Islands.
Okay.
Guten Abend is a good evening in the Cayman Islands. Alles is
Uh-huh.
everybody. Yeah.
And how would you say that in Konkani?
Oh my gosh, don't make me do this. Let's go to the next one.
Konkani is hard.
It is. I mean, if you don't know it, it is definitely. I think all the languages, if you don't know them, they are a bit like, what is she saying?
Hmm.
And I mean, patois is hard. My nanny is Jamaican, and I barely understand her sometimes, and she just goes patois on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What did you say? But yeah, it's good. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Very, very interesting. Now, when you worked as a news broadcaster at this Indian station, they essentially told you that you were not Indian enough. You didn't sound Indian enough.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us a bit about
Yes,
that.
absolutely. Oh my gosh, yes, that was. I had to train for 2 months because they said I don't sound Indian and I need to sound Indian. So I had a tutor, an Indian, a very Indian tutor that told me that uh, no, this word, you have to say it like this. And the reason behind that is that, which made sense, because they said, we like how you present the news and how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
However, we want people to understand what you're saying. We can't have a foreigner come and speak, I mean, tell them about news. We want them to listen to you. So I was at that, I found that very interesting. And I said, oh
Mm-hmm.
wow, yes, that
So
makes sense.
in
So
India, they considered you to be a foreigner?
well, the English, they said, yeah, I guess. Now that you asked me that way,
Yeah.
I think I spoke very good English, and a lot of people, commended me on that as well. Being an Indian, how do you speak such good English? My dad's friends who were from the UK as well. We do have family in the UK, and I spent time with my cousins from the UK at the
Mhm.
time. And, at that younger age, when you're exposed to so many languages and cultures and the accents and everything, you pick that up and it remains with you. So it did with me, and I wanted to just, explore more and know more. I'm like, why is this different? Why are my schoolmates not the same? We did have a few other nationalities in our school because it was an all-girls school. It was a convent, and our nuns were foreigners as well. So we did ask a lot of questions in class why it is different. So yeah, I think it comes from there.
Hmm, very interesting. So you were not Indian sounding enough. And in your household, like when you grew up, your primary language at home was what?
My mother spoke Konkani most of the time, and my dad English all the time. I
Mhm.
could not argue in Konkani. I
Right.
have to argue, I have to switch to English to argue. So that was funny. My dad and my mom, I mean, my parents, yeah, they said I have to learn Konkani as well. I think everyone wants their children to do better and not just,
Mhm.
excel in things. So I think that's why they had that idea of teaching me both the languages, although our schools had other languages as well. We had French, we had Portuguese, but I didn't take Portuguese. I took French instead.
Mhm.
But I don't consider myself knowing French, or just a few words. So here and there, I have to learn
Mhm.
it properly.
So let's talk a little bit about where you're from. Goa, that's the correct way to pronounce it,
Yeah,
is an
that's
island.
correct. It's not an island. It's on
It's
the
not.
coastal region. Yeah.
Okay.
Just like
It's on the
Cayman, but
coast.
Cayman is an island, but
Right.
we are on the coastal region, right?
All right. Okay. So you're on the coast of India?
Yes.
So is it considered a completely separate country, or are you guys considered part of India?
No, we're part of India. It's a
Okay.
state in India. It's a very small state in India. It's like the Miami of the United States, let's say,
Mhm.
because it has beaches, it has churches, you party in Goa, and yeah, just look it up and then you'll see some good
Yes, well,
stuff.
I'm looking at it. It says that Goa has the highest GDP per capita among all Indian states, and two and a
Hmm.
half times as high as the per capita of the country as a whole. So it seems like Goa is like the Moroccan, maybe not Morocco. What's not Morocco? Monaco of India. Like it's
It
it's
is.
the um quality of life, it seems to be quite a bit, it's tourism based, it seems to be quite good.
Yeah, it is.
Hmm.
You got that. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I do have some pictures here in case anybody ever wondered what it looks like. I'll share some of these because this does look super interesting. Give me 1 second here,
Sure.
and I can pull these out. Really pretty, actually, I must say.
It is. I actually don't miss home because Cayman is quite similar, but not the same for sure. Cayman is
Hmm.
beautiful, very beautiful. I like it. I love it. My daughter's from here, my husband's from here, and this is like my new home. But yeah, I don't
Hmm.
miss home at all. I mean, there's nothing left for me there. I mean, my parents passed away, so yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Okay, give me
beautiful.
1 second. I'm going to show people some pictures. Damien says lots of tourism. Good evening, Phil. So good to see you. Michael is here joining us, and Benji is also joining us this evening. Let me show you guys a few photos here. So lots of lovely photos, beaches. Looks like it has some kind of mountainous terrain as well.
It does. It does. I think south of Goa has more, it's more tranquil and it's quiet. North of Goa is a party place. You go there to just party, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, dance your night out.
Hmm.
But Goa, I mean, South Goa is usually very quiet, lots of beautiful beaches, and if you just want to relax and, have a quiet vacation, you would go to south of Goa.
And is the primary language then in Goa? You said their language is Konkani for the state
Yes,
language.
so right. But right now, I am following some of the news in India, in Goa especially, and the last thing I heard was that they wanted to make Marathi the second or the first official or the official language of Goa. So they also speak Marathi, they also speak Konkani, and they also speak Hindi. So it just depends which part of Goa you're in, but mostly they speak Konkani.
Hmm. And in terms of religious beliefs in Goa, what's the primary religion there?
Uh, I, in Goa, I would say it is Christianity, but we have a lot of Muslims as well. We also have a lot of Hindus. So it is actually a mixture of religions actually. Then we have different groups in these religions. It's, in Hinduism, they have different groups. In Christianity, they have different groups, just like here
Mhm.
in the Cayman Islands. Then in Muslims as well, I actually never knew this, that Muslims also have different groups of the belief.
Mhm.
They
So it's
certain Muslims, I
equivalent to
mean,
how Christianity has denominations, basically.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Huh, interesting. Who
Yeah.
would have known? Um, so folks, if you have any questions for Misha, you can call in to the program. 93626 is the number. So we've already learned a little bit about Misha. She speaks 5 languages. I should challenge you guys later on to remember what those languages are. Michael says, my boss is from there too. Good guy. Well, Chef Remy, a lot of people know Chef Remy, and Chef Remy is actually from Goa. He might be what do you call people from Goa? Goanese? What do you call
No, it would
Goan?
be Goins.
Goan?
Goins, yeah,
Yeah,
Goins.
I was gonna
Just
say
like,
he might
where
be
you
the most
going?
he might be the most popular Goan in the Cayman Islands because everybody knows Chef Remy.
Yeah.
So we know that Misha has a broadcasting experience. Now, before you were talking about how you had to practice with a language skills person. I don't know what their official title was, but to actually practice your reading skills for the news so that it sounded more Indian than English.
Yeah.
And how does that job compare to what you're actually doing now? Like, what are some of the big differences?
Oh wow, there's a huge difference because there I just went in with my whole self and went like,
Mhm,
with makeup and everything, just get ready. And someone would hand me the script and I would just go to the studio, just freshen up, and read my script, which was
mhm,
live news for 30 minutes. And then I would just, sit there, go through it, and I had everything set up. I had different departments. I had the technical department looking at the camera, checking everything is okay, and the technical part of it. And then I had someone else editing the live feed, as it went. And yeah, I just went there like a queen and sat there, read the news, and then went home. Here, I am the queen, but in a different way.
Right. Calling all the
So I
shots.
yeah, and it was interesting to know how much work went into it.
Mhm.
Starting from scouting for stories, and then you helped me with the stories to begin with. I had no idea. I mean, when you listen to a news presenter, you're like, yeah, that's how you say it. But when you actually have to say something and
Mhm.
sit there and words don't come to you. I mean, they didn't come to me. I was like, what is that word called again? What do you say for this? And
Mhm.
remember, I would send you paragraphs of news, and you're like, that's too long. You just want to keep it brief.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what do you mean? How do I do that? And then you would take out like 2 lines of my script and just insert one word there, and I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I remember that word? And so yeah. I learned it took about what 2 months for us, for me, not for us, but
Yes.
for me,
And it's all
about two to
about
three months.
yeah, I think a lot of people don't. There's so many elements to even writing, for example. And,
Yeah,
sometimes I get lazy with my writing. I'm very much aware of that. But, my actual degree is in professional technical writing. So if I have to
yeah,
really be focused, I have to be technical about it. That is one of my strengths because I've had a lot of experience in that. But being concise when you're trying to, convey a message in as short a time as
yeah,
possible is a little bit of a skill set, and it does take some practice to kind of get there. And I think a lot of times we use, as you pointed out, so many words when you can literally find just the right word that conveys all of that in the English
yeah.
language. Now, I couldn't do it in Konkani, German, or any other language. Trust me, I would be completely lost. But English, I can help you out there.
Well, that
So,
actually helps me knowing so many languages. Now that I know that that's one English language, I mean that's one English word, then I know
mhm,
what word to look for in my brain for those languages. And
mm,
it's amazing. And I'll tell you a joke. Corey said, my husband, he's cheeky sometimes. He said, "Well, now that you're writing news, it'll be easier for you to have short conversations with me, and you just basically meant to say you get to the point, so I won't
right.
be nagging, in other words." Yeah, husbands.
Vicky says that her brother-in-law was from there, but sadly he passed away. Oh gosh, Vicky, so sad
Oh no, sorry
to
to
hear
hear.
that. Yeah. So you're mentioning that one of the big differences is that now you're responsible for everything, for the technical aspects, the
Right,
camera, the audio, the script writing, finding the news stories, um, everything essentially.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, up until it's out on air, and then
Yeah.
I
And
make sure I
and
watch
we've
it
even given you the
just to be sure.
responsibility of
Yeah.
scheduling it and everything now as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
that's
kinda did
great
it
actually. I
in
enjoy it.
yeah, and we did it in manageable, bits, I think, to kind of get
Yes,
you we
we did.
didn't push you off the deep edge, we did push you in, but it was like the little kiddie pool at first where you could swim a little bit, and probably the first month, like, I was watching
Yeah,
every single newscast, I was like, "Okay, this is where we needed to improve, this is what word was pronounced a little bit incorrectly, or we need to work on this,
yeah,
and this is, like, some of the Caymanian names, like, this is how you say Alden as opposed to Alden or whatever." So all of those
yeah.
things take time, and it also you've got to be creative on how to find a solution. So sometimes if you're not sure how to do something, I think I've told you as well, like a lot of times, I get tongue twisted. I'm like, oh, how's that word pronounced again? And dictionary.com is wonderful because it gives me the proper pronunciation
Absolutely.
of words. So just having
Yeah,
resources available that you can use to help you along the way.
absolutely. Yeah, it was a challenge knowing that because I remembered words from my training from my Indian tutor. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say words like they would say it, and the sounds, because they wanted me to sound a certain way as well. Because it's not just about how you say the word. I mean, it's not just about saying it or speaking, but you also have to sound a certain way. So, while you're reading news, like it just can't be like how we're talking. It
Mm-hmm.
can be because now most of the news channels are like they're having a conversation, but they still have that certain sound, that news sound.
Right.
You know that it is news when you
The
listen to it.
tone of voice,
So
the
when
intonations.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to know which word to stress on. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I sound so Indian to myself, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope people here understand. But yeah, people do understand, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the only reason I try to work on things so that people understand me, because basically that is the essence
Mm-hmm.
of news presenting.
Yeah. So the feedback that I've received has been phenomenal. Like you said, we kind of
That's
just
great.
did it on a bit of a whim. I was like, you know what, let's just do daily news. And we started doing it. And of course, my thing is always consistency. Like if you want to, launch a product or service, you can't kind of haphazardly do it whenever you feel like it. If you're going to say, okay, we're doing daily news on weekdays, Monday to Friday, then every single day we've got to do daily news Monday to Friday. And so,
Absolutely.
I know that even the time initially we were trying to do it for, I think it was 7 o'clock. Was it
Yeah.
7 o'clock that we were aiming for? And that was way too early because, like you
Yeah.
said, oftentimes even the government press releases and whatever, they come out a bit later on in the afternoon, and it was taking you like multiple takes just to record 30-second stories and whatever. So there's a lot
Yeah.
more involved than really meets the eye. But the consistency, I think, has really begun to pay off because I've got people all the time who were like, you know what, I really enjoy. One lady said to me, I'm a news junkie, and now I can get Cayman news every single evening on Facebook and YouTube. And I think we're supposed to be putting it on Instagram. And she just absolutely loves the fact that that's happening. So, I
Right.
think that a lot of people stop me and they are singing your praises and they're like, oh, I love the
Oh.
news with Misha. And they're just
Oh.
over the moon about it. So Melita says, I guess it's not like saying tomato or tomato, huh, girl? um,
Exactly.
King, good evening. Says just popped in to listen for a bit. You're doing a wonderful job, Misha. Thank you, King.
Oh, thank you, King. Thank you. Well, really, thank you very much, guys, and Cayman, everybody in Cayman, for welcoming me. And just it hasn't been negative. I know that a lot of people usually jump on to say things, and I'm open to corrections for sure, because that's how you
Hmm.
learn, that's how you grow, and I'm open to growth. I want to grow.
Hmm.
And I'm just very thankful to everybody to, for having me here and on this platform and just giving positive feedback and just being so positive to me. I really appreciate that. And of course, you, Sandy, I don't have to say that. I don't, you know, you're you're my idol.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the other things that you potentially see yourself doing? I think you're still kind of getting used to the rhythm of
Right.
producing the news, and really the biggest thing right now is probably just the time management, trying to do it in
Yes.
as concise a time as possible. Would you say that's still the biggest struggle at the moment?
It is getting better because as we're going, we are looking at things. But I mean, we did have challenges with the internet before. Then there
Hmm.
was a software issue. Then there was a
Shout
recording
out to
issue.
Flo.
There was a
Flo got the
camera
internet
issue.
sorted. I think we're about
Yeah.
90% there with the internet. There's a little bit of a glitch
Yes.
that still needs to be sorted out with the internet, but it's way better than, we won't name the other people that you had.
Oh my gosh. Like every second I had an issue. And what it would do, because I'm connected to the remote PC, it would cut the connection. And then if it's rendering, it would cut out the whole process,
Mm,
and I would have to re-render again, and sometimes you wouldn't find the files. And it's just been a whole technical issue there, but we've figured that out. And when we first started, it was just you and I. And
mhm,
remember we were talking about it. It was like we're just two women just doing these things, and we're far
mhm.
away, different houses, not in the
Yes.
same building, and we're still figuring these things out. And it's amazing. So I
Mhm.
think that's what kept us going, knowing that we're getting there, and just encouraging each other. And thank you so much for always encouraging me to do better and, just being there. And every single time I have a question and you're in the middle of doing a million things, a million people message you, and I'm like, Sandy, please rescue me. And you literally come to my rescue when all these things are happening. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And
Yeah. You're
yeah, I
welcome.
think um, yeah, so far we're doing great. It's just the internet that needs to be sorted out, and maybe a little something to the computer, which we spoke about the other day. And I think we're getting there. It's
Hmm.
it's got a lot easier. Yeah.
Yep. So Michael says, that's my only news channel. I told people about it and I share it also. Melita says, soon you'll sound
Thank
like a
you.
bear. I don't know about a bear. I'm not
Like
too sure
a
about that.
who?
Soon come TD. But she lives in Georgetown, so I don't think she'll be sound like a bear. Wee Wee says, we all love you. Quincy says, good
Oh,
evening,
thank you,
Sandy.
Vivi.
Misha's a very good on air presenter, clear diction, and professional. Thank you, Quincy,
Oh,
joining us from Cayman Brac.
thank you. Thank you,
So it's
Quincy.
great that people are able to listen to you. I think the other day you were saying that you had close to like 100 people in the live stream at the same time. And naturally, as you continue to go, you'll find that people are getting used to you like doing the news at 9
Yeah.
o'clock and tuning in. And they're going to be there, just as that notification goes out that you're live. So
Yeah.
really wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Just know that I will be here no matter what. If I'm delayed, just know that I'm doing
It's
something in the
coming.
background. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're
yeah,
doing pretty good with the time these days and the ability to pre-schedule it, which for different reasons
yeah,
I've explained for technical reasons, like that's really, really important. It's more on the marketing side and how Facebook deals with a pre-scheduled live event versus one that just goes live on its own. So there's so
yeah,
much to this job, Misha. I think that people don't always understand or they don't know about. And the number
yeah,
one thing in life, I think in any job really, but especially this one, is you always have to be willing to learn and you always have to be willing to like pick up a
absolutely.
new skill set. So the other day you went to the book signing at Camana Bay with Mr. Bodden
Yeah,
and you did a
yeah.
wonderful job of putting that video
Thank
together. A
you.
little bit of an issue in the audio. So for next time, we know like the
Yeah,
background music, you kind of keep that a little bit lower and so on. But
right.
I like some of the special effects that you had at the beginning of the video. And I was like, hey, Misha, look at you, learning as we go
Yeah,
along and fast forwarding, doing the fast forward little special effect and all these types of things. And the truth of the matter is we are just doing a drop in the bucket. Like there's so much more. But in this profession, the way that we're
absolutely.
doing it, you have to be a jack of all trades. You've got to learn a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And God knows that I have learned so much in the past 5 years as part of my CMR role. Like it's not just about writing
Yeah,
a story. We try to connect with our listeners in a very, very different way. I love to do live streaming. I love to go live and people look at me and I've had people say, "Oh my God, you make it sound so easy. Do you have a
yeah,
script?" Or when I interview people or I invite people for an interview, they're like, "Oh, can I get
yeah.
the questions?" And when I say to them,
No
I don't
questions.
actually, I don't actually prepare in that way. Like that's not my method. I don't know if
Yeah,
other people do that, but I don't sit down and write out questions beforehand because I like a conversation to flow in a very natural way.
right. Exactly.
But that does
Yeah,
take, I
yeah,
think, time to develop, and it's certainly a skill set. I remember the first time I interviewed the governor, and he was like, "Oh, where are your questions?" I was like, "What questions? I don't have any questions." But once we started and the conversation flowed, even his intern, this came out, a young lady, she was like, "Wow, that was just so amazing and so natural, and you didn't have anything written down, and you didn't have any questions." I'm like, "Nope, I just have a
yeah,
general idea of what the discussion is going to be about, what's in my head." And then I allow that to flow. Even Gene Pasquale, who I work with, he does some videography work for me. During the election, we did a lot of the conversations with interviews and stuff. And by
yeah.
the third
Mhm.
interview, he kind of knew what my sorry, what my style was and kind of how I worked. And he's like, "Yep." When she said that, when the young lady, the intern said, made this comment. He said, "Yeah, man, she's like awesome. Like she just goes with the flow, and you just have to follow and answer the questions." But I think it's so much more organic in any event. Instead of me
It
sending you
is.
questions where you can then prepare an
Yeah.
answer and like you're reading this prepared response or you seem robotic, I'm like, let's just have a
Right.
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does that. Every media house will have a set of questions for you, ready. But
Mhm,
then that's why Sandy's cold hard truth is the cold hard truth, and that's why CMR is CMR because it's natural, it's organic. People can relate to that. Sometimes there are different people that they think differently, and it's like 100 brains in one brain, which is
mhm,
Sandy's brain, at in that moment. And then you ask those questions, which they're thinking, and they're like, "Yes, exactly. I wanted to know that," and they type it
mhm,
in. So I think that's why CMR is CMR and it is where it is, and that's why I think we all love it. I love it. I followed CMR religiously when I was pregnant every single morning, and I followed the election, and I knew who was who, and I knew which minister, who was running for elections, what they were doing. That's where I learned all, who those people were. And if it weren't for you, I'd probably not know them, you know,
mhm,
just I would just be,
mhm,
going on with my pregnancy and doing other stuff. And, you
mhm.
know, yeah, it's
It's
very
interesting when
educational.
you It's interesting when you say that a lot of times people can relate to the questions because this is what someone sent me earlier this evening. They said, "Good video in the police, short notice." I crack up because I thought the same thing. I think the same things you say. I cracked up when
Exactly.
you said, "Hopefully, the police will not take 3 hours to show up." I was thinking it right when you said it. So,
Yeah, it's the thoughts that you
um,
speak, and you're not afraid to speak those thoughts. And that's why you're Sandy Hill. And everyone fears
well,
that name.
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's, we're all human beings, and like you said, I don't try to filter what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
If I'm thinking something, a lot of times I'm just going to say it.
yeah,
Especially on this platform, because that's what this platform is really all about. It's just about having a level of honesty and a discourse that comes out of that genuine and honest discussion. There are times
right.
I'm sure that I say stuff that probably offends people and it's not entirely politically correct, you know, but I'm less concerned about being politically correct than I am
Right.
about just having the discussion and having a discourse. So Melita
I would,
says,
yeah, sorry.
sorry, go ahead, Misha.
Well, I was actually saying that when you said that, I was actually thinking about the same thing, that people think that Sandy is so rude. Sandy is just so blunt about certain things. I mean, if you don't say it, there's no one else saying it, and it needs to
Mhm,
be said. Someone needs to say these things. And
mm,
you are a strong woman, and you're not afraid to
mhm,
say all these things because you have your facts right. And most people doubt themselves because they don't have their facts right. They
mhm,
don't have something to rely on or go back to, that, okay, this is what I need to, this is where I'm getting my information from.
mhm.
Cut Sandy some slack. Yes, sometimes we get some information that is
Yeah, and I
that
was
is
gonna
not.
say when I get it wrong, I'm also not too proud or not afraid to say, "Hey, we got this wrong. Let's just fix it."
Yeah, I mean,
Because
just like,
we're all
oh, you're
human.
just doing this and you're doing that and you're getting this wrong. No, it's okay. I mean, she got it wrong once. Yes, sorry, we got it wrong. And exactly, you don't shy away from saying that, oh, we had this wrong. You always say that, sorry, folks, I got this one wrong, but we corrected it, we got it, and it's
Mhm.
there. So everyone makes mistakes, but owning up to them, it also requires strength, and you have that. So
I
thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you. So Celine says, "Sending you love. You're amazing, Sandy and Misha." Melita says,
Thank you.
"Misha, you're doing a great job, girl. Follow your heart. And as I see, you're interested in setting your heart where you're at. Great job."
Thank
Oh,
you,
that's very sweet. Thank
Malika.
you. So yeah, I mean, we're on the beginning at the beginning of this journey. I know that there are exciting
Yeah,
things ahead for you, Misha. I'm always one that also likes to tell people to kind of look at your life and where you're going. Like, what's your short term goal, your medium to long term goals, and
right.
really work towards getting there. There's so much that we can do. Misha's interested in doing cooking shows, DIY shows, and other things. She has a love for animals, and she wants to do like an adopt a pet program, or adopt a pet show, I should say. So there's much more that Mesha will definitely be rolling out as time permits. And now that she has an idea of what it takes to produce certain things, because trust me, it looks easy, but a 7 minute news, evening news segment literally takes hours of work to put
It
together.
does. Yeah.
So, I thought that this was a good way, Misha, for you to kind of get your feet wet before you get into even doing some video that's like longer content. Because I remember when you first came to me, like, oh, I was kind of drilling you on some of the details of your ideas. And I said, well, how
Yeah.
long are your segments going to be and how frequently you're going to do them? And I know you were very, very optimistic, like, oh, yeah, I can do an hour and I can do a couple of videos like a week and da da da.
Yeah.
And now that you have seen just doing even a 10-minute or 7-minute video, how much that takes, have you
Yeah.
rethought those other segments?
Yeah, well, now that my feet are soaked into this, I do think that it takes a lot and a lot of time. At the
Yeah,
time, I was struggling to find the right nanny for my baby to,
right.
to assist with my baby. And I think we have one now, and I hope it all goes well
Mhm.
and that I can produce more work and get more time to, focus on what I actually want to do as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to producing more shows, more interesting content for CMR, and if anyone's out there that wants to collaborate with us, do give us a shout anytime. Kevin and I are working on a lot of stuff, especially on the mental health show. We have another
Mhm.
guest that we're speaking with right now, and maybe in the next few weeks, and we
Right.
might get that on as well. But yeah,
So Kevin
so
Watler and Misha are going to be spearheading a segment. We're calling it Unmask, which is based on mental health, and really trying to speak to people, of course, in the Cayman Islands who have had mental health issues and struggles. But we know, because it's a small community, a lot of times people here are very reserved about sharing their experiences. So they are, I should say, looking to some overseas experts and individuals who can lend to the conversation, because it's so important that we have and we focus on that aspect of who we are, and to make sure that
absolutely.
people
Yeah.
know what resources are available and that they're not alone in their struggles. I know, Misha, you and I have both discussed, even on a personal level, some of the things that we have struggled with. And it's so
Yeah.
refreshing to have people open up about that part of their life. And
Yeah.
to know that there are other
Yeah.
people who are there who understand exactly what you're going through as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is amazing how when you connect with someone that you share things that you've never shared before, that you've
Mhm,
kept. And the other thing that I told you, I didn't even speak that with my parents. My parents
mhm,
still don't know, and they'll never know because they're not there. They're gone.
mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing how, and we're hoping to connect with people like that, and they
Mhm,
don't need to, we don't have to say who they are. They can
mhm,
just send in their questions or their worry, and we
mhm,
can speak to an expert and ask the expert how he thinks this problem can be dealt with.
mhm,
And so, like, that idea is basically that will it, I'm pretty sure that one issue is so many people are going through that same thing, right? Through that same emotional issue. It could be something that happened to them, and there must be 100 or more women that went through certain things, and
mhm,
then that if that we can take that question, ask the expert, and the expert can help us understand
mhm.
how we can deal with that. So that's the idea, is to reach out to as many people as possible in that with that one question or a few questions that people want to send in to us.
All right, folks. Well, believe it or not, that's an hour already gone. We've got about 45 seconds left in the program. So, Misha, thank you so much for this premiere access segment with Misha. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back here, hopefully with the premiere. I'm sure he'll be on island then. And I'm glad that you guys have had an opportunity to get to know Misha a little bit more. Thank you so much, Misha, for this sit down chat.
Thank you as well, Sandy, and thank you everyone
All
listening.
right. All right, folks. So we'll end the program with just a few little commercial videos, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m.
The Cold Hard Truth is Cayman's #1 talk show since it debuted in March 2020. According to independent research, we are the most listened to talk show in 2021, and most people prefer us to any other options on island. We tackle tough issues some days, and other times have fun and lighthearted discussions. But most importantly, the Cold Hard Truth is here for you. Thank you for your support as we continue to be the voice of the people in 2022 and beyond.